Good morning, traders, and happy Monday. You know what Monday means? Monday means Trader Bacon. And today is a very special day as we are celebrating 1 year of the Trader Bacon Show. So anyway, I'm super excited to be back again. I've got an awesome guest today. Before we get into all of that, a couple of things that I want to go through. Make sure, first and foremost, we are giving away some evaluations. Make sure to fill out the form and get your shot at those. That'll be up in the chat in just a moment. Also want to congratulate Apex Trader Funding. Once again, a further milestone. Week after week, we start seeing more and more. Over $190 million paid out to traders. And we have 1 day and, well, about a day and a half left of the 90% off promotion that has been going on much longer than any of us expected. I think this must be it. So if you want to get any additional evaluations, make sure to do so now at 90% off. All of that said, I'm super excited for another Monday show for you. I've got Bernardo from Mexico, an international trader that's going to show us some great insight into what's been successful for him on today's episode of the Trader Bacon Show. Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now. Bernardo, what's going on, my man?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic, man. It is such a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, first and foremost, I just want to thank you for taking your time today and sharing some of your insight and some of your knowledge and experience with us. We've got a lot of people in the chat. Thank you guys all for showing up and spending some time with us today as well. Eso Bernardo, says Anthony. So we've got some fans in the mix as well.
My boys over here. Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your background. How long have you been trading at this point, man?
So I've been trading for a bit over a year. I started last February. Yeah. So it's been a journey of a year.
Okay. So how did you find your way into trading? I know we talk to a lot of traders here from here in the States, and I know how people get into trading over here, but what was the path for you to get yourself into trading?
So my path to get into trading was basically, get to know an influencer in social media, get to know the whole trading industry, get curious about it. I got into Forex. We all know what happened to Forex. Then I switched to futures. And here we are right now, yeah.
So what did the educational path look like for you? How did you find your edge in your style of trading?
So it was a whole process because, you never know like the right strategy once you start. So it was a bit of going from influencer to influencer, just getting a bit of their methods and a couple of their confluences. So I started making like our own recipe of what works for us. So yeah, that's what we did. We just went from one influencer, one YouTube channel, grab one confluence and just go from one to another and hopping in. Yeah.
See, and I think that's what every trader wants to get to is, there's always the idea of like, there's multiple ways to learn a strategy. You can buy a strategy, basically an educational platform. You can hire a mentor, or you can go to YouTube. And I know everybody starts off with the YouTube manner because, of course, that's the free route. Now, for you, did you find that there was, did you find it a speedy process, or did it take extra time because maybe you were mixing and matching different strategies?
So it took a while, not gonna lie. It was a pretty long process because I wasn't 100% comfortable with any of the, 100% of the strategies of any trader. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna grab this from this guy and this other thing from the other guy, and I just made my own recipe basically.
So how long did it take for you to get basically to put together what you've got?
Took about 7 months to get the actual thing, and I don't know, maybe like a month or two to actually get funded with the strategy. So
I love it. So there is a tremendous amount of diligence there that obviously has paid off for you as you've now been a funded and paid trader with Apex Trader Funding. I know that you did some work with some Forex as well, which unfortunately we don't know where that went. But so at this point, what is your typical routine like? What does your day look like before you start trading?
So my routine starts at 5 a.m. daily. I just like to start the body, go for a run or whatever. Hop in the charts at 7 a.m. Mexico time, not Eastern. So it's about like 9:40 starts the my trading times, saying it that way. And yeah, just end up my trading by 10:30 or something.
Okay.
And yeah, just gym, and that's it. I'm a pretty boring guy, not gonna lie.
Well, again, the proof is in the pudding. Obviously, the results speak volumes of what you've been able to do. Now, Drewski says that it's exactly what he did. You have this opportunity to find different strategies or different pieces of strategies and put it together, but it takes that diligence. It takes that ability to figure out what component of this is going to work for you and what component is not. And ultimately, I think for me, what I've found is that what it boils down to is it's not so much that one strategy works and one doesn't. It's what meshes with your personality, with your temperament, and your risk management styles. So as you've developed this, what has that looked like for you? If you had to define your strategy, how would you define your personal temperament and the way that you like to trade?
So my strategy is basically like the confluences are basically ICT concepts combined with silver bullet concepts and liquidity, all based on liquidity. So I will define it as fast, effective, and complex, basically.
Complex. Now, at this point, and we'll talk about this a little bit more kind of at the tail end of the show, but at this point, you've actually started working with other traders and starting to help them understand the way that you trade. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, we did our own academy called Masters, and yeah, we're just starting. We have the version in English right now, and we're working on the version in Spanish for all our Hispanic public.
There we go. We got Pitmaster in the chat. So I love that. So how long have you actually been teaching at this point?
So we've been teaching for about 6 months, maybe
6 months or so. Okay. So gotcha. So now you're working with somebody else, correct?
Yeah. It's not me. I was one student of this academy. First of all, I was the first student, and now here we are turning to a teacher like last 2 weeks, 3 weeks or something. So yeah.
And I think that's what we find is that the successful students find an opportunity to bring what they've learned and how they've developed to other traders. Exactly. So that said, let's talk a little bit about the strategy and about what you do and how you do it. If we can take a look at some charts here, let's see what this actually looks like in real time with some charts.
Sure. So today this is today's trade, right? And as we can tell, market were mad choppy today. So what we do, first of all, is we base our trading over the 5-minute time frame, but we can also go to the 1 hour and 15 minutes in some cases to see like the general trend or like the daily scenario, basically, or previous days or some key levels that we might need. But we are basically just in the 5-minute. We just look for liquidity and fair value gaps, and so all sort of order blocks. So for today, what we saw, it was this whole bearish trend, saying it that way, took liquidity right here, and we saw the rejection right here. We had to be careful with this order block right here, right? So what we did is we saw rejection here. I got in right here. And due to, the reaction right here, plus having the interview today, that was like my confluences to get out early, which was great, we can say lucky, because we ended up in break even. But yeah, that's basically what we do.
Well, and that's interesting. And again, because I know we're looking at the same charts. I was trading NASDAQ this morning as well, and what I was looking at was a down at where you started to see where your take profit was actually my entry, because what I saw was an opportunity for a reversal up here as we broke structure and moved up. So not that one's right, one's wrong. I actually chickened out, as I told you before the show, and cut early, and obviously it took off and went my way. But when you look at something like this, we can take a look at the same chart and we can see absolutely different things. So when you see something like this, how do you determine when it is that you're looking for a reversal versus a continuation?
So we decide over the amount of confluences. We would like at least 2, 3, or maybe 4 like we see the scenarios and we kind of grade them like A plus scenario or whatever, depends on the amount of confluences. So let's say we have a fair value gap, inverse fair value gap, an order block or whatever, and that's how we tell if it's a good scenario or not, because some of our students actually took the longs today. So we might have like different positions, but at the end of the day, we were both correct in some sort of way, right?
Right. Yeah. Again, it comes down to what works for you, what's more comfortable for you, what makes more sense to you. We could be looking at the exact same thing and see opposite things. And as noted here, we can both be right, we can both be wrong.
Exactly.
So I think it boils down to figuring out what works best for you. So when you look for a trading situation and an entry, now you're looking obviously for the ICT style fair value gap entry. Are you looking for a specific risk reward ratio? How do you manage trades? Are you always targeting? Do you trail?
So yeah, for me to personally, for me to take a trade, it has to be at least a 1 to 2 risk reward. This one in specific was let me check. 2.03.
Right.
So exactly 2 to 1. Then my stop loss goes exactly on the previous high or any previous level or previous low if it's a long, obviously. But that's how I do it. At least a 2 to 1, maximum 3.5, because I don't like to over risk it.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you're like me. I don't like to be in a trade too terribly long. I got used to trading in the early days for very small, like 9-tick scalps that were done in seconds on NQ. So being in a trade for 5 minutes is a different frame of mind for me. So
my trades personally are like half an hour at max. So
right.
Yeah, very important.
Well, and again, that comes back down to finding that right strategy that works for you. Now, what if you're in a situation and you're in drawdown half an hour into a trade or whenever is your cutoff time? Are you going to cut a trade at that point, or are you going to let it run even if you're not necessarily at the computer?
So, first of all, if I'm not in the computer, I'm not in the charts. There's no investment. I gotta be in there. So I really like to check my trades and be responsible for my trades. So in that scenario that I gotta go or whatever, I will gladly, cut the trade before, just close it manually. And but usually when I'm in drawdown or whatever, I might just leave it until my stop loss, because that's like the key level where I say, okay, the trade is not valid anymore.
Well, and I think that's, we've all seen trades go and dance around drawdown, but not hit that stop. And I mean, it could be late in the day before it shoots back up, just because it happens to be a slow day. And I know different traders will have a different philosophy on whether or not they must be at the screen while the trade is open. I at one point was 100%. I got to be at the screen, and now I've developed at least some confidence in some situations where I'm willing to let it go just because I know I'm protected. Again, that really boils down to the trader, the strategy, of course, whether or not you have some sort of automation or at least those stops and targets in place. Now, do you always target a specific profit level, or will you trail trades from time to time?
So I always try to keep it like pretty close, like pretty specific on my profits. So I will keep it like 2 to 1s most of the time. But in some cases, for example, this one, our original take profit was like a 2.5 or something. So yeah, it might vary, but I like it to keep it specific, and I just keep consistency going.
Sure. Well, and ultimately, that's what builds a successful trader is consistency. Whether you do this, whether you do that, is usually not the key factor. I mean, anybody can turn any reasonable strategy into a successful strategy, and usually that key is are you doing the same thing every time? Because if you are, then you can test it, and if you're not, there's simply no way of testing it. And I love Emilio here, bro, is mad consistent. I love to hear that, and of course, I think that's where we start to see those ultimate long-term results. Now, a couple of people, I guess, have asked about the link. I assume you're talking about the link where you can register to win an evaluation. We can pop that back in the chat. It's a little further up in the chat, but we can go ahead and get that back in there to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to win that. It's that forms.gle link that's in there somewhere. So anyway, okay, look, so I got to ask the question because we actually haven't discussed this before. Anthony points out that no wonder you've got 7 figures in funding. Are you past $1 million in funding at this point?
I'm over 2.2 right now. Yeah.
Smoke. All right. So you are way up in there. Now, how many accounts are you trading at this point?
So I got 8 accounts and I had 2 challenges, but right now that I'm building the buffer, I was like not so sure how to trade like buffer wise versus challenge. So I just decided to stop the challenges and keep going with my buffer. Once I'm actually ready to, get those 1% trades, I might go back to challenges. But right now I'm just at 8 accounts.
Gotcha. Now, are you copying from one to another or do you manage them individually?
I use Copy Trader. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They just go all the same way. And
yeah, I'm the same way. I love it. To me, I don't know that I could manage multiple accounts without that, but I know some people prefer to.
Not capable of managing 8 accounts
right.
at a time. Yeah, there's no way.
Very prepared and good with the mouse, right?
Yeah. My trading style is way too fast for me just clicking sell button 8 times. There's no way.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and switching from one to another.
Yeah.
So I think that's a beautiful thing. I know Emilio is talking about your opportunity to work with the Hispanic trading world, which obviously you're already doing. And that's something that that has been a big thing for me. Some of you guys know I speak fluent Spanish, lived in Mexico City for a year. So for me, it is just such a blast to talk to a trader in Mexico because, again, I know that that's a different world. Like, for example, if you weren't trading, and we talked about this the other day, if you weren't trading, what would you be doing for a living?
So right now, once again, I'm 19-year-old, so I will be still at school. But my 2 other scenarios were either working on taking charge of a gas station and, the gas business or in the farming business. So it's a really different scenario from trading, right?
Well, sure. Your manual labor either way. The hours are different. Clearly longer hours.
Type of work. Yeah, no, it's too different. Man.
Well, and to me, I think this is a prime example of what the beauty and the value of trading actually is. Worldwide, globally speaking, as long as you have a solid and stable internet connection, you can do this from anywhere. And with the opportunity with Apex Trader Funding, not only can you do it from anywhere, you can also earn in dollars, which in other countries makes a huge and significant difference.
Yeah,
right?
It's a blessing to be able to, generate in dollars and get an income in such a short amount of time. And yes, such a blessing to be able to trade, man.
That's beautiful. 19 years old and already over $2 million in funding. So you talked about building that buffer, and I know that there's always been that kind of that teetering back and forth with traders of, do I withdraw or do I build the buffer? And clearly you're right now in that building mode. So I'd like to get your take on what's your ideal scenario when it comes to building that buffer. Where do you want to be and why do you want to be there?
So my ideal scenario for a buffer, it's about $7,000 per account, the minimum for asking for a payout. Because I like to get that $7,000 as my new zero put it in that way.
Sure.
Because that means that I have 2 trades and a bit more of 1%, as opportunity of failure.
Sure.
In order to get a bridge or back to my actual zero. So right now we're like at $4,000 or something, and I'm just missing $3,000 to go back to 7K.
So you're trying to get to that payout threshold. So you're wanting to keep that balance above payout threshold at all times.
Yeah,
ideally.
I will. Ideally, is keeping it above the payout threshold. Recently, because it was my first payout, I kind of overcharged a bit, so we're a bit below right now. But that's why we're building right now.
Well, and I think that makes a really good point because, look, I mean, everybody has seen all the stuff that's been going on with Apex and some of the adjustments and things that they've made and some of the things that they started enforcing out of necessity to ensure that consistent traders continue to have the opportunity that they have. And I think that one of the things that came up was that people would churn and burn these accounts. And For a consistent trader, what that means is that you have to get past the evaluation and past the payment threshold again. So if you just take the mindset of building that threshold, you're talking about $7,000. And so you're talking about $14,000 worth of profit on one single account just to get back to that payout threshold. Whereas if you manage to preserve the account because you trade responsibly, because you choose to leave yourself a deeper threshold so that you don't have to start all over again, that gives you $14,000 worth of additional power. At least that's the way I see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that of course makes sense. Like we always say that patience pays.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we just keep the buffers. We like consistency above all things, because we've had seen scenarios that there's guys that, oh, we just got funded or whatever, and I want my payout, and next day we got I reached my account.
We've absolutely seen people take payouts down to the minimum threshold, and yeah,
like you never know if the next day you're gonna lose or you're gonna win. So we like to say that we're professional losers, and yeah, we're always ready to lose. So that's why we keep the buffer. Yeah.
And I think that's such a valuable point, that we get caught up in these moments. And I know I've done it myself. You have a string of winners and things are kind of moving in the right direction, and you get this false sense of security. Hey, my skill has gone through the roof because I'm continuing to win. And then that takes, when you have that one down trade or that one down day or whatever that looks like, that mindset shift can be, devastating for some of us, which we've seen over and over and over. I know I've seen over and over again. I'm speaking from my own personal experience here at this point, and I know I've seen other traders do the same thing. So I love the level of responsibility, not just to yourself, but to the account, because that account is your bread and butter. As long as you manage and maintain that effectively, you keep that forever. Now, yeah, things may happen, but if you're as consistent as these guys are talking about, you probably have enough buffer to have multiple losing days back to back without losing the account if you reach that level. So what does that actually look like for you? What is a typical target and a typical maximum loss that you're willing to take in a day?
So depends where we are, right? Because if I'm like already in the buffer zone and we're already good to go full risk, saying it that way, I like to risk about 1%. So $3,000 per account. And whenever I'm still building or like in low stages of the buffer, depends on how much, I will go between 0.5% or 0.20%. So it varies between, $750 to $3,000 per trade. It's not bad.
Are you looking for multiple trades in a day, or are you kind of a one and done kind of guy?
So I am one trade a day type of guy, but right now I'm looking into expanding into the PM session a bit.
Okay.
Something pretty new, but for now I'm one trade a day.
Gotcha. Now, Thumper asks, do you trade copy from PA to eval or vice versa? Or do you just stick with only evaluations or only PAs at any given time?
So whenever I got to have like the 8 PAs and the 2 challenges, it was, I had my funded group and my challenge group, because it's really different type of risks. But right now I'm just in PA.
Gotcha. So because I actually had the same question. I'm glad you asked that, because you can of course copy all the way across the board, but whether or not you're going to do so depends on your strategy. Is your strategy different for evaluation than it is for PA?
So I treat it different, because might seem weird, my point of view, but I don't see it as much money as a, funded account, because even more with your discounts, guys, that is like $60. If I might just do like one trade, 0.5%, create a mini buffer right there and just go 1%. And let's say I want to 2, I'm already like 3.5%. I'm halfway the evaluation. So I just go another 1% and challenge pass. But yeah, I treat it pretty different to my funded accounts, because it's way cheaper to pay a reset from an evaluation than a PA.
Sure. Yeah. Once you have it passed in PA status, there's a protectiveness, I guess, that comes with it, because again, back to the point of you already have that X amount of dollars worth of profit that got you there. to have to rebuild that is actually profits that come out of your pocket.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I love it. I love it. Bro risks my full take profit every trade. I think people are impressed with your boldness, it sounds like.
Might be.
Right. Well, and again, it's boldness with a particular recipe, if you will. You know, you have an idea of what it is that you're willing to do. So while those numbers may look larger, there's a reason for that. My presumption is, like, obviously, if you're risking 1%, you've got multiple losing trades in a row that you could do before you blow something.
Exactly. But yeah, that's a pretty, good point, because it might seem like a huge quantity, but at the end of the day, it's all about percentages. And well, it depends. It's a huge midpoint because it might be like 0.8%, 0.9%, whatever, not even 1% up.
Sure.
And I might just get out because it's a big quantity of money. It's a big amount. But at the end of the day, we're just talking about less than 1,000 per account. So
right.
It's like, it depends how you see it and how confident you are in yourself and in your trading. Because if you're doing all this hard work and it's finally paying off, why will you stop right now? Why will you stop? Why will you stop at this point? It's just how you see it.
Let's talk about that confidence for a quick second, because there's obviously two ways to get confidence. There's the slow way, which means trading your strategy and seeing how the results go. Then there's the fast way, which is back testing. How much do you balance that? I mean, how much of a factor is this in your trading game?
So I went the slow way because it's been let's say 8 months of an average of 12 hours a day in screen time.
Sure.
Back testing, studying, getting all the confluences, getting the right strategy, psychology, discipline, all kind of stuff to make a good trader. Because at the end of the day, you might have a good strategy, but you're a horrible trader because you don't know how to control yourself. You might just get out early. You might overtrade. You might over leverage, whatever you want to say. So it's like a whole, combination of components that might affect your trading between your strategy and yourself. So it's been a pretty slow way, and right now I'm pretty confident because patience pays, and
right.
yeah. Right now that's why I consider I'm a confident trader, but not preppy. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna win every time. No, I know I might lose tomorrow and the next day and the day after, but I'm ready for losing those days.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bernardo for president. Presidente Bernardo, right?
I don't have papers.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I love it. And it's just, gosh, you've got such a demeanor about you that just says, look, I'm 19 years old and I am so disciplined that I can continue to do this over and over and over again and continue to profit. And I can play bigger positions than other people are comfortable with, not because of my boldness, but because I have the facts and the data to back that up. And that at any age is masterful. At 19, dude, I'm super, super impressed. So congratulations. And man, I can't thank you enough for sharing some of your insight and some of your journey with us, because I think it's just so masterful and meaningful for some of the people who watch this. Now, if someone wants to check out what it is that you're doing, what you're teaching, where can people find you?
So right now, as you can tell my name, there's my Instagram right there, link in bio for the academy. We have the free version and the paying version. And yeah, just link in bio, guys.
Guys, check it out. Bernardo Haidar 18, is that?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Well, guys, check him out. And thank you guys for joining us for the 1-year anniversary show of the Trader Bacon Show. This has been a lot of fun, very, very insightful. And man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you spending some time with us, Bernardo.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's been such a pleasure, such an honor. Thanks for having me, really.
Absolutely. Well, make sure to check out next week's show. We'll have another great guest. We're going to have a lot of fun with that as well. Don't forget to check out the Forge Trader podcast, my podcast, if you want to check that out on iTunes and Spotify as well. And make sure to pick up those evaluations. 1 day and 12 hours left of 90% off. So take full advantage of that while you can. And one last shot to get signed up for the free evaluations. And with that said, I appreciate you guys, and I will see y'all on the next Trader Bacon Show. Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday